Car Obsession is proudly supported by KIA and Draghi. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another walk around. If you are new to my channel, firstly, thank you for joining me. My name is Aaron, and secondly, my walk around videos are pretty much a static review of the car. Therefore, if you're looking for driving content that won't come in this video, but will come in future videos. Anyway, onto the car I have for this week, which is the brand new 5th generation KIA Sportage. As always, I will take you around the car, talk you through the specification, and give you my first impressions. Now, of course, I think we need to start with the styling. I think it will be quite divisive, but you know what? I really dig it. I think it looks sharp, stylish, and quite striking. And I think it strikes a better balance between being striking but also a bit restrained compared to the car's cousin, the Hyundai Tucson, which I think looks a little bit too sci-fi. The front end just looks like a spaceship to me. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, but you know what they say, styling is and always will be subjective. Now, one thing that isn't subjective is, of course, the pricing and the trim levels. The Sportage has a choice of 4 trim levels, 2, 3, GT Line and GT Line S. I've got the 3, which comes with a good amount of features, and you've also got a good amount of choice when it comes to powertrains. Now, they all feature a 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine, but you can either have a straight up 1.6 turbo, like I have here, which is mated to a manual gearbox with power being fed to the front wheels, or you can have a 48 volt mild hybrid, a full hybrid, or a plug-in hybrid. So yes, Kia is very much looking forward to the future. Granted, this particular specification is a little bit old-fashioned, but you know what? I like the simplicity. There's no electrification, it's just a good old-fashioned 1.6 litre turbo, 6-speed manual, and power fed to the front, as I mentioned a few moments ago. In regard to pricing, if you go for the entry-level Sportage, that will cost you £27,800, which is actually a bit more compared to the Qashqai, which was the UK's best-selling car in 2020 and has been a very popular crossover/SUV for many years. In the defence of the Sportage, though, the entry level of this car does come with a few more features. So you get 17-inch alloy wheels, you get a touchscreen, whereas the Qashqai, the entry level one, doesn't get that. Therefore, in the Sportage, you get smartphone connectivity, but in the Qashqai, you have to settle with Bluetooth. You also get dual zone climate control, and you also get there's something else that you get on the Sportage. No, touchscreen. Yeah, touchscreen, the alloy wheels, and the dual zone climate control. Now, to defend the Qashqai, the entry-level version of that does have more safety features compared to the equivalent Sportage. So that's worth bearing in mind. If safety is your priority, you may want to go with a Nissan. But if you're more into your tech, then the Sportage may be the better way to go. Now, as I mentioned, I've got the 3 trim level. This has a starting price of £32,000. The only option that I know of on this car is the paintwork, which is the infrared, which is actually the same paintwork I had on the last Sportage, the 4th generation, that I tested about 3 years ago or so. To talk you through the features, as I've mentioned, well, actually on the 3 trim level, you get 18-inch alloys, not 17. You get LED lights front and rear, keyless entry, tinted rear windows, front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera. If I take you inside the car, I can show off more of the features. As I mentioned, keyless entry, but the car is already unlocked. Let me take you off my little tripod and just pop that on the back seat. I will, of course, show you rear space in due course. So let me make myself but let me show you the seats. So they're parts fabric, parts leather. You have to apologise, there's obviously a shadow because the sun has made an appearance. Before I started filming, it was very dark and gloomy, but now it's a lot nicer. Now, one thing that dominates the interior of the new Sportage is this very pleasing to look at curved display. You can't really tell it's curved from here. If I maybe bring you up there, yeah, you see it's curved, and it's curved towards the driver to make it more driver centric. So you have 2 large touchscreens, kind of reminiscent of the way how Mercedes have it set up nowadays. But you've got a 12.3 inch touchscreen along with another 12.3-inch display with with their digital instrument cluster. System works well. I'm quite a big fan of the Kia touchscreens. They can be a little bit laggy sometimes, but for the most part, they're pleasing to look at. They work well and they are efficient, which is exactly what you want from an infotainment system when you're driving. The only thing I will say, because it is quite a large screen, I do find that even though I've got relatively long arms, trying to reach the left part of the screen, the very left corners when you're driving, can be a little bit of a stretch, but I suppose that will depend on your driving position. So yeah, a little thing to mention, but not necessarily a complaint. Now you do have 3 driving modes, so you have a button down here marked drive mode just there, and you have sport, eco and normal. As you can see, the display changes with each one you go with, and we'll speak about the engine in due course, but I want to focus on the interior features. I've got the dual zone climate control, and one thing I really like is that, unlike other manufacturers, Kia hasn't fallen into the trap of burying these controls within the touchscreen. No, you do still get a separate panel. Granted, it is touch sensitive, but I haven't found it to be too much of a faff to operate whilst on the move, and it just helps to give the inside a bit more style, I think, because the last Sportage, I drove the facelift and it just felt a little bit old-fashioned inside of it. It felt a bit behind the times, but the same cannot be said for the new car. Yeah, the interior is more pleasing. You've got these nice design touches here. That kind of reminds me of a fin or of a plane, like a tail fin, which is quite snazzy. And you've got glossy black detailing. Got this effect down here. It's not quite a carbon fibre effect. I'm not too sure how best to describe it, but I like that design feature all the same. It helps to give the inside, yeah, a bit more pizzazz. Other features I get as standard. I've got a heated steering wheel and heated front seats. It's also worth noting that the outer rear seats are also heated as well, which I will show you when I get into the rear. You've also got, as I may have mentioned, a reversing camera, as well as front and rear parking sensors. The clarity is okay on the camera, not the best I've seen, but I've certainly seen worse. This car, as I've mentioned, is front wheel drive, but you do actually have a hill descent function if you so need it. And for the new Sportage, there is a new all-terrain mode to help give stronger off-roading capabilities, but of course that is reserved for the all-wheel drive version, because it wouldn't really make much sense to have it on the front-wheel drive version. And yes, you can have this with all-wheel drive if you want something that is a bit more rugged, shall we say. I've got heated lights. I've got automatic lights and wipers, but that's pretty much standard. I've got a good amount of safety systems. So yes, the Sportage does come with a good level of kit. Now let me close the door and actually sit in the car properly. Let me touch upon practicality. Actually, I'll tell you what, that was stupid. Let me open the door. So the door bin can swallow up a 1 litre bottle, but I did have to persuade it a little bit. And as you can see, I do have some space left over for some snacks for a road trip or just a few smaller items. That's quite handy. Oh, I thought that was storage, but that is actually for the fuse box, because it says fuse on it. Clues in the name. You don't get a wireless phone charging pad, which I am a little bit surprised by, but to be fair, you've got charging ports. Anyway, you've got the old style USB, a Type-C and a 12-volt socket. In the middle, you have a little slot where I like to pop the key, because of course this has got keyless entry and go. 2 cup holders in the middle, one of which is larger than the other. One thing I will say is that depending on what size of bottle or cup you have in here, or travel flask, I have found that when changing gear, you do, yeah, as you can see, it's quite close. So I had a larger bottle in there this morning, and every time I changed gear, I kept knocking the bottle, which was a little bit annoying. The centre armrest has got a bit of adjustment to it, not loads, but as you can see, much like the last Sportage, when you do have the armrest slid forwards, it kind of makes this cup holder a little bit redundant. So I thought Kia may have learned from the last Sportage. I even mentioned it in my last review, but Kia clearly didn't listen. A bit of storage underneath there, and have you got any additional charging ports or anything in there? No, you haven't. Fine. The glove box is a pretty good size as well. So yeah, when it comes to practicality, yeah, not too many complaints. But like I say, yeah, that isn't. Yeah, that can be a little bit annoying. Another annoyance I have, it would be nice to have some form of ambient lighting in the cup holders, because I've driven this quite a bit at night, and every time I go to put my bottle back, I'm sort of rooting around aimlessly, trying to get it back into the holder. So it would be nice just to have some form of ambient lighting, so you can actually see where you're putting your bottle. So Kia, take note. Let me turn off the ignition. I don't need that anymore. In regard to getting a good, comfortable driving position, that's easy. The steering wheel adjusts for rake and reach, as you would expect. And the driver's seat and the front passenger seat, for that matter, are electronically adjustable. Quite disappointingly, you don't get a memory function for the driver's seat, but it is what it is. Therefore, if you're sharing the car with your spouse or someone else in your family and you're at different heights, then it may be a little bit of an annoyance. So yes, on to rear space that I teased earlier. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am of course a taller chap. Even so, as you will see in a few moments, I will have plenty of space back here. Oh. Right, close the door like so. So yeah, look at that, knee room is very good. I've got no complaints there. And better still, the seats are designed to have a recess on either side to give you that extra bit of knee room. And if I bring the camera down here, you should see that I've got a very healthy amount of leg room. I can fit my feet underneath the seat in front of me. So yes, I can really stretch out and relax. Speaking of which, haha, the rear seats, they recline. So I've got a handle down here, like so. The lighting isn't very good, so I do apologise. But look, oh, I can really lay back and make myself comfortable, and by doing so, it gives me even more headroom as well. So headroom is impressive. Not that you can see it because the lighting is awful. I'm looking at the screen so I can see what you can see. That lighting's a little bit better, but yeah, it's not fantastic, is it? So apologies on that. But yes, it's nice to have rear seats that recline. And from memory, the Qashqai can't offer that. No, the seats don't slide forwards and backwards. I'm sure the last Sportage had sliding seats. I may have made that up. Could you fit 3 adults in the back? You may be able to, but it would be a bit of a squeeze. But for 2 adults, it'd be absolutely fine. There are, of course, ISOFIX points, but they will be a little bit difficult to find because there's no covers for them. You have to kind of root around, and they're right there. So they're not quite as easily accessible as other family cars. So yeah, that is a bit of a point marked off for the Sportage. But there are some redeeming features. So for example, you have a centre armrest, which you can't see, it's out of focus. Centre armrest with 2 cup holders. You don't get a feed-through hatch. However, it's not all bad, because if I fold that back up, these seats are actually 40, 20... No, hang on. Yeah, 40, 20, 40. My maths let me down there. I thought, that doesn't add to 100. Let me off. I've not had my coffee. Right, so yes, this seat can be folded all the way down, and therefore you can feed items through, such as skis or bits of wood or whatever you want to do. So that is nice and handy. Now, if you must have 3 people in the back, there is a little bit of a hump to navigate in the middle. So yeah, the person in the middle will be fighting for foot space. But I think, yeah, like I said, for 2 adults, it'll be fine. As I mentioned earlier, the outer seats are heated as well. I don't know why I'm pressing the button. It won't come on because the ignition is off. So yes, not very wise. As you can see, you do have rear door bins. That can fit in a 500 milliliter bottle. I did try the 1 litre bottle in the front, but it simply wouldn't go in. I think if I got that bottle in, it wouldn't come back out. So yes, I thought I don't really want to jam it in there. You've got map pockets, a little cubby hole down here, and this is quite ingenious. You've got a hook on the back of the seat in which you can hang up a bag of shopping, like I've demonstrated here. And this is quite snazzy. Look, you've got Type-C USB ports built into the seat. Normally, you'd have them on the centre console, but no, they're actually in the seats. That's quite cool. And you've also got these handles up here. Now, I'll be honest, at first I thought they were designed so you could put a tablet in them, but then I realised that wouldn't work because this part of the this part would cover up most of the screen. But I think this is just another thing to be used as a hook. Yeah, I can't work out whether that's a good idea or a needless idea. I don't know. The jury's out on that one. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's really handy though. I must admit, I like that, but I just don't know. I'm not too sure on that. Yes. Right. What else? I do have a hook on another hook on this side of the car, and grab handles, light, which will come on. There we go. Yeah, pretty much everything to go through. You do have ventilation as well, which is nice. Let me show you the boot, which is quite an impressive area. Let me step back out into the winter sunshine. Very nice in the UK today. Now on the 3 model, you don't get a power tailgate, so you have to use manual labour. But that's by no means a hardship. Now, as always, the boot is filled with my filming crap. I will cut to a clip where the boot is a little bit emptier, but as you can hopefully see, it has got a good capacity. Now, for reference, the Nissan Qashqai can offer 504 litres, which is far from awful, but the Sportage can offer 591, so almost 100 more. Very, very impressive indeed. There's very little in the way of a load lip. In fact, there's no load lip. So if you want to load bigger, heavier items, or perhaps dogs, that should be easy. And speaking of easy, folding down the rear seats is a piece of cake. I almost said a piece of something else, which would have been a bit rude. I'm going to fold down this seat, which you can see like so. I can't fold down that seat because I've got bags on it. But yes, simply pull the 2 levers, and the rear seats down are. The rear seats are folded down quicker than you can say Geronimo. They don't fold completely flat, but they do fold fairly flat, and there's no annoying step either. So that's nice and flush. So again, if you want to load bigger, heavier items, or if you want to do a dump run, for example, that should come in handy. Oh, I have to. That is a bit annoying though. There we go. I'll put them back as they were. Now, if you need even more space in the Sportage, you can, of course, fold down the 40-20-40 rear seats to give you almost 1,800 litres. Again, you've got more hooks in the back, in the boot. You've got one there and one there. I think Kia have become obsessed with hooks. They've got a hook addiction. They're hooks on hooks, you could say. Oh, I know, that's a really bad dad joke. You've got a 12-volt socket on the left-hand side there, and you've got little tethering hooks, eyelets, you know what I mean. And there's one there which you can't see because my cleaning products are in the way. Got a retractable parcel shelf like so, quite easy to remove, and easy enough to operate, relatively smooth, and of course, like I say, it's no power tailgate, so you have to use your muscles. Right, so let me move things on and go onto the engine. I do love this paintwork. It's got a really nice glisten when the sun hits it. It's a very, very pleasing colour. Right, so yes, as mentioned, 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol. If you do remember my review of the last Sportage, you will know that I had the 1.6 naturally aspirated petrol, which was pretty gutless. Of course, this is aided with a turbocharger, so you do get more oomph. Speaking of which, you get 150 horsepower, along with, I think it's 250 newton meters of torque, which in pound-feet is 184. Now, I'm sure many of you aren't too fussed about performance, but in case you are, you're looking at 0 to 60 in 9.9 seconds, so a little under 10 seconds, of course, and the top speed is 113 miles per hour. I'm sure you're more concerned about economy. Now, needless to say, if you want your Sportage to be as efficient and as green as possible, this will not be the version for you. As I mentioned earlier, this engine features no electrification. It is a straight up 1.6 litre petrol. So on a combined run, this can offer up to 41.5 mpg, and CO2 emissions are 154 grams per kilometre. So like I say, if you're looking for the greenest Sportage, this is not that. But if you want a Sportage which is perhaps better value and a bit more cost effective, then yes, this would be the one to look at. Now, to give you an idea of what the other powertrains can offer you in regards to economy, if you go for the mild hybrid, the 48 volt, that is around 44 mpg. If you go for the full hybrid, that is around 49 mpg. And if you go for the plug-in hybrid, that has a theoretical range, because of course that can be driven in EV only, a theoretical range of 252 mpg. But like I said, that is theoretical. Real world, probably not so much. So yes, I'd like to think that was quite a thorough walk around. If there's anything I've missed, or if you have any questions or queries, please do let me know in the comment section below. There would of course be a main review of this car, in which you will see the car actually being driven. There may be a point of view review, and if I have time today, I may do an infotainment review as well, but I'm not going to commit to that just in case. Now, as I mentioned, this is mine for the week. This is not my car, so if you're looking for long-term ownership reviews, unfortunately you won't get that. But yes, so far I've enjoyed the car. I must admit, it's been quite pleasing to drive. The handling's better than I was expecting, even though it's a larger car. It's quite flat through the corners, which is yeah, a pleasant surprise. Anyway, it really is time for me to end. I've been speaking for over 20 minutes now, so yes, let's wrap things up. So, if you have enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.